made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I was from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of that? No, not at all, huh?
Nope.
Oh, okay. You're from Brooklyn, huh?
I just want to rap.
Okay, guys, Frank Stout, just a guy from Brooklyn, and today I'm here to rank my top 20 dance movies. I've always loved dance movies for the simple fact that I can't dance to save my life. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get to the movies, so let's cover my rules. Rule number one, spoilers. I don't think we have to worry too much about spoilers, so I'm going to give you a mild spoiler warning. Rule number two is, as always, this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way that you can come back at me about my list is to show me yours in the comments section. Honorable mention number one is a movie called Center Stage, came out in 2000. I watched 6 new suggestions to prepare for this ranking, and I would have never guessed that a movie about ballet would make the cut. But this movie impressed me as you see what these young women go through to make it in that world. The punishment to their feet alone would send my ass packing. Very similar to the template of the movie Fame, you follow a small group of students at the renowned American Ballet Academy. Jody, played by Amanda Shaw, is an attractive blonde who struggles because she has the wrong proportions. But the real standout here is a young Zoe Saldana who plays Eva, a Bronx girl with major attitude. If you didn't know she would become a major star, you could see the potential here. There's also a talented lifer who realizes ballet isn't really her dream as she falls in love and must convince her pushy, controlling mother that it's not the end of the world. All in all, a solid dance movie, and I'm proof that you don't have to love ballet to enjoy it. Coming in at honorable mention number 2 is Hairspray, came out in 2007. In 1960s Baltimore, dance-loving Tracy Turnblad auditions for a spot on the Corny Collins Show and wins. She becomes an overnight celebrity, a trendsetter in dance, fun, and fashion. Could her new status as a teen sensation be enough to topple Corny's reigning dance queen and bring racial integration to the show? I did not realize that there was a 1988 version starring Ricki Lake. For those of you who've seen both, please let me know in the comments section which one you think is better. All I can say about this one is it's fun and it has an all-star cast. Christopher Walken, Michelle Pfeiffer, Queen Latifah, James Marsden, Elijah Kelly, and Amanda Bynes. Not to mention John Travolta playing Tracy's mom for comic relief. A fun musical with catchy songs and some great dancing. Coming in at number 20 is Honey, came out in 2003. Honey Daniels, played by Jessica Alba, dreams of making a name for herself as a hip-hop choreographer. When she's not busy hitting downtown clubs with her friends, she teaches dance classes at a nearby community center in Harlem as a way to keep kids off the streets. Honey thinks she hits the jackpot when she meets a hotshot director who casts her in one of his music videos. Once she starts making a name for herself, he demands sex for all the opportunities he's given her. She must make decisions which will change her life. Like so many out there, I went through a Jessica Alba phase back then. She's very easy on the eyes and knows how to move. Mekhi Phife and Little Romeo guest star here. There's also lots of hip-hop performers who make appearances, which makes this a must-see for fans of that vein. Coming in at number 19 is Cuban Fury, came out in 2014. Nick Frost plays Bruce, a child salsa prodigy destined to be a legend. I mean, this kid lives salsa. But on the night of one of his biggest competitions, a bullying incident changes everything and he abruptly quits. 22 years later, his company hires a new boss, Julia, played by the adorable Rashida Jones, and he is absolutely smitten. His arrogant coworker Drew also has her in his sights. Desperate for a way in, he discovers that she's taking salsa lessons. So he seeks out his former teacher so he can get back in the game. Can he recover that salsa magic so he can impress her? There's some really funny moments and some great dance scenes. But the highlight is the competition at the end because, well, that's how these movies work. Coming in at number 18 is You Got Served, came out in 2004. This movie doesn't have the most interesting story or high production value, and Marcus Houston and Omarion aren't winning any awards for their acting. The plot is simple. Basically, Omarion and Houston's baby sister like each other, and Houston feels betrayed. There's also a small subplot about a kid named Little Saint, which is beyond cringeworthy. But this movie absolutely delivers on the dancing. It's like they spent their entire budget on getting the best talent. The dance battles are lengthy, and guys just keep coming at you in waves with all types of different moves. And the two rival crews really go at each other. At the end, they end up in a tie and have to battle in a no-holds-barred round, because that's what these movies do. And they throw everything at each other and the kitchen sink. There's even a dancer who levitates. If all you care about is the dancing, this one is for you. Coming in at number 17 is Flashdance, came out in 1983. Take it away, Vince.
Reminds me of a little girl from a steel town who had the dream to dance. The deck was stacked against Alex. You know how she overcame those odds? By believing in herself and trying. She literally had to become a maniac. She had to strip down to nothing. She had to sit in that chair and arch her back, and she pulled a chain to nowhere and doused herself with water.
Obviously, the dance scene where she splashes water on her is what everybody remembers. And to be honest, this movie has the most bare bones plot. Girl has a dream of being a dancer. Her boss convinces her to date him, and he helps her with her dream, which is a great message for women. Sleep with your boss to get ahead. Wait, what? But there's a reason why this is such a classic. Jennifer Beals is gorgeous. Everyone loves an underdog story. And of course, you got the hit songs like Maniac and What a Feeling. The dancing is solid, and it's got a lot of heart. Coming in at number 16 is Fame, came out in 1980. Probably the granddaddy to half these movies, as it features a high school of the arts in Manhattan and what a struggle it is to make it in show business. When asking around what people's thoughts were, I was surprised to find out that most people remember the Fame TV series that followed the hit movie. Some didn't even know that the movie even existed. But at the time, it was a pretty big deal. Irene Cara was obviously the big name, and her velvety voice and pipes were everywhere. But the true standout was Leroy, played by Gene Anthony Ray, with his dancing and short fuse temper. You had Shy Girl Doris, Montgomery, and of course Bronx Puerto Rican Ralph, all trying to break into the business. The movie really shows how lucky you have to be. All the talent in the world doesn't guarantee you anything. You can't mention Fame without mentioning Debbie Allen, and this was also the first time I was exposed to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But this is a historically significant film for the genre. Coming in at number 15 is Grease, came out in 1978. This musical about teens in love in the 1950s is timeless. It's California, 1958, and greaser Danny Zuko and Australian Sandy Olsen fall in love on the beach in the summer, and when they go back to school, neither of them are aware that they both now attend Rydell High. Danny is the leader of the T-Birds, while Sandy hangs out with the Pink Ladies, led by bad girl Rizzo. When they clash at Rydell's first prep rally, Danny isn't the same Danny from the beach, which devastates Sandy. After rewatching this, I noticed that the movie isn't as dance-heavy as I remembered. But the middle act hand jive dance is lengthy and epic enough to give it that dance movie label. Travolta was a dancing force in the late 70s. This propelled him from his Welcome Back Kotter days for sure. We all felt the pain of Olivia Newton-John's passing. She was a true beauty, and I listened to her songs on my phone all the time. The rest of the cast are no slouches either, an extremely fun 50s timepiece. Coming in at number 14 is Save the Last Dance, came out in 2001. Sarah, played by Julia Stiles, moves from a small Midwestern town to the south side of Chicago when her mother dies in a car accident and must live with her father. She soon falls for Derek, played by Sean Patrick Thomas, at her new high school, and he has less than an idyllic past. They share a love for dance, and together they tackle the problems that go with an interracial relationship. I happen to think that Stiles is an underrated actress. She's always so convincing in whatever role she plays, and throughout you feel for her, as nothing is easy, and she's given up her dream of ballet because she feels responsible for her mother's death. You also feel for her when she's squeezed from all directions because the sight of her and Derek makes everyone feel some kind of way. There's lots of great dance scenes with Sarah learning hip-hop from Derek, and she incorporates it into her solo at the end of the movie. Coming in at number 13 is Saturday Night Fever, came out in 1977. When most people think of this movie, they remember John Travolta dominating the disco in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. But rewatching this movie decades later was shocking, as I forgot just how dark this movie is. The movie is also a little on the rapey side, as a woman is violated in the back of a car, and later even Travolta's character himself goes a little too far trying to get with his love interest. It gets even more awkward later when he pays her a visit, as he promises to stand in a corner and not try anything. But all that aside, we're here for the dancing, and Travolta is a disco beast. His character is also quite hilarious, especially when he's home interacting with his parents.
It's disgusting, right? Sick. We just wash the hair.
Yeah.
You know, I work on my hair a long time, and you hit it. He hits my hair.
Seeing 70s Bay Ridge, Brooklyn was interesting for me. I had no idea there was a White Castle on 94th Street, which was heavily featured here. God, I love those sliders. You could literally park your car on the Verrazano Bridge, something impossible today. But the biggest thing was a huge Brooklyn no-no. No one, I mean no one from Brooklyn, would ever sandwich a New York slice of pizza on top of the other, fold them, and eat them in that way. I am not buying that bread. Bottom line, for a taste of old Brooklyn and a time travel trip to the heights of disco, this is the one. Coming in at number 12 is Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, came out in 1984. It's time to bust out the bright pastel colors and see what's going on with Kelly, Turbo, and Ozone. Needing a distraction, Kelly checks on her partners and discovers they're working on a local community youth center called Miracles, which is soon to be the victim of corporate greed. So the TKO crew and the rest of the neighborhood band together to save the center. Shabba-Doo, who plays Ozone, said in the Canon documentary that the sequel didn't have the street grit of the original. It's definitely more colorful, and Turbo is basically a Looney Tunes character.
Guess who?
There's tons of dancing here. A huge intro scene, another dance battle which I find hilarious, and they even use the rotating room from A Nightmare on Elm Street for Turbo's solo, where he gets a Spanish girlfriend. It's a Canon film, so it's cheesy and you know it was done on the cheap. There's a scene where Turbo is being chased and falls down a flight of steps that makes me laugh my ass off. Worst stunt double I've ever seen. But growing up watching these wacky breaking movies was never anything but a delight. Coming in at number 11 is Bring It On, came out in 2000. The Toro cheerleading squad has got spirit, spunk, sass, and a killer routine that's sure to land them the national championship trophy. But for new team captain Torrance, played by Kirsten Dunst, The Toro's road to total cheer glory takes a shady turn when she discovers their perfectly choreographed routines were stolen from the Clovers, a hip-hop squad from East Compton led by Isis, played by Gabrielle Union. This teen comedy is so fun, with so many characters: the snarky best friend Missy and her edgy brother Cliff, the arrogant over-the-top Big Red, and Torrance's douchebag boyfriend Aaron. But my favorite will always be Sparky Pilastri, choreographer extraordinaire.
Y'all ready for this?
You have weak ankles. One of your calves is bigger than the other. Good general tone and musculature. Report those compliments to your ass before it gets so big it forms its own website.
Coming in at number 10 is Dirty Dancing, came out in 1987. So much more than just a dance movie. It's a coming-of-age story for a young girl named Baby, played by Jennifer Grey. Hoping to enjoy her youth while it lasts, she's disappointed when her summer plans deposit her at a sleepy resort in the Catskills with her parents. Her luck turns around, however, when dance instructor Johnny, played by Patrick Swayze, enlists Baby as her new partner, and the two fall in love. Baby's father forbids her from seeing Johnny, but she's still determined to help him perform the last big dance of the summer. The combination of a young girl growing into womanhood, a soundtrack with multiple hits, and fantastic dancing makes this a bona fide classic. Coming in at number 9 is Breakin', came out in 1984. Cannon Group's Golem and Globus were inspired to make this movie after seeing some breakdancing in Venice Beach. Golem pressured production to release before the East Coast release of Beat Street, as they would be in competition with each other. You follow Kelly, played by Lucinda Dickey, an aspiring dancer who meets street dancers Turbo and Ozone, and she's amazed at how talented they are. After Turbo and Ozone are defeated by a rival crew by surprising them with a female breaker, Kelly offers to join them and combine their moves with her own. And with the help of Kelly's agent, Shooter McGavin, they take their act professionally. But Kelly's butthurt dance instructor wants to run them out of town. This West Coast breakdance movie was a breath of fresh air, especially for us on the East Coast who've never seen the different clothes and hairstyles and looks that they had out there. You can't mention Breakin' without mentioning Ice-T and Shaka Khan's hit Ain't Nobody. As most of Cannon's movies, this is cheesy, lighthearted fun. And of course, coming in at number 8 is Beat Street, also came out in 1984. Unlike the rest of these movies, I lived this shit right here. The height of breakdancing in New York as DJ Kenny, his younger brother Lee, and graffiti artist Ramon showcase their talents in the hopes to rise out of the hard streets of the Bronx. It's extremely genuine how they get the look, feel, and attitude of these early days of hip-hop. The shell tops, windbreakers, denim jackets with graffiti backs, and Cazal frames are all things that people rocked back then, me included. The music is equally important, but people came here to see the breakdancing, which was everything. I was amongst many kids back then who were on the constant search for huge pieces of cardboard so I could practice my backspin. Refrigerator boxes were the best. There's no movie sets here. The subways, the Roxy Club, it's all the real deal. And when these street kids talk, you know it's not an act.
Yo, what's up? Yo, man, y'all biters. All your homeboys are biters. Yo, Wax, so what's up with that? Yo, what are you talking about, man? I never stole no moves from you. All your moves ain't worth the bit. So what's up with that, punk?
So how good is the dancing? The battle at the Roxy is the big scene here, with the Beat Street Breakers versus the Bronx Rockers. A lot of these dancers are still breaking to this day, Crazy Legs probably being the most famous. This movie is much more than just a dance movie. It's a monumental piece of hip-hop culture. Coming in at number 7 is Take the Lead, came out in 2006. Of all the movies I rewatched for this ranking, I enjoyed this one the most. It's based on the real-life story of international dancer Pierre Dulain, who decides to volunteer teaching ballroom dancing to a group of delinquent inner-city kids serving detention. The only reason I knew about Dulain or this movie is because my daughter took his program during elementary school, and these programs still exist to this day. Dulain is played by Antonio Banderas, who always brings his A game by laying on the charm, passion, and his dancing skill. As odd as teaching ballroom dancing to a bunch of knucklehead street kids might seem, it actually works. Dulain does a sexy ass dance with one of his professional students to entice the kids and suck them in. And the kids are so fun. They're really the true draw here, as they're all really interesting and very different. No matter the obstacle, Dulain doesn't give up on them and puts them in a competition paying all their entry fees out of his own pocket. The dancing here is elegant, but not really the best in this ranking. However, I will put up the Menage a Tango dance scene with Jenna Dewan and two boys competing for her affections against any dance on this list. It is jaw-dropping as the three kids stun everyone in the room. A must-see for fans of these types of movies. Coming in at number 6 is West Side Story, came out in 1961.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and gay, and I pity any girl who isn't me today. La 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 la.
Obviously, I'm a bit biased here, as I'm a Puerto Rican living in New York City, and this was the first movie I ever saw where Puerto Ricans were featured. It gave me a feeling of validation. Whether it's West Side Story or Romeo and Juliet, we all know this love story and tragedy. It's been done and remade in so many different ways and forms. And I'm here to tell you that the dance scenes are so good. They stand up now today, and we're talking 60 plus years. You can't mention West Side Story without mentioning Natalie Wood, Rita Moreno, and composer Leonard Bernstein. Of course, a movie this old is gonna get the parody treatment.
You hear that? What is...
I could mention many negatives, like how they literally painted the Puerto Rican actors darker to differentiate the two rival gangs. But I really don't think that's fair, as stuff like this was the sign of the times. I'd rather focus on the 10 Academy Awards and the fact that this is regarded as one of the greatest musical films of all time.
Put some respect on my name.
Coming in at number 5 is Step Up 2, The Streets, came out in 2008. This sequel doesn't have the star power, clear-cut story, or even the heart of the original, but damn does it have the dancing. Easily the best street dancing of any movie on this list. It's a huge group effort with Andy, Chase, Moose, and so many more. All newcomers with individual styles and talents. Channing Tatum is only here for one scene to pass the torch to Andy, played by Brianna Evigan, as she enrolls in the Maryland School of the Arts and is conflicted as her street crew drops her. She's convinced by love interest Chase to start a crew of their own with students, and they want to compete in a local competition called The Streets. The dance scenes are so good that this movie rivals the original. Moose, played by Adam Gary, will become a staple for the franchise. There's a plethora of great dance scenes, starting off with a subway dance for internet clicks, a sort of prank dance scene against Andy's former crew, which is hilarious, a nice Spanish backyard party dance to add some Latin flavor, and of course you have the final competition where they literally take it outside and dance in the rain in epic fashion. And of course, at number 4, we have the original Step Up, came out in 2006.
I'm rich and you're poor, but let's dance together.
Society won't like it.
I don't care.
Good for you. Good for you.
Channing Tatum has had a nice run. I can still remember seeing him in earlier movies like Coach Carter and She's the Man, and I kind of knew he was on the rise. But I had no idea about his dancing skills, so this movie kind of caught me off guard. Yes, I eventually learned about his stripper past much later, and I got no problems with that. People forget Sylvester Stallone made a movie called Italian Stallion, and it had nothing to do with boxing. Tatum's acrobatic moves are so good, you forget others are dancing in the scenes. Jenna Dewan has great chemistry with him, which makes sense since they were a real-life couple for many years. You have Lucy and Miles who complement them as great side characters. The story here is all about learning responsibility, as Tatum's character Tyler is sentenced to 200 hours of community service mopping floors for the Maryland School of the Arts. But his talents eventually get noticed. He agrees to help Dewan's character Nora prepare for her finale routine, which holds her future in the balance. Coming in at number 3 is Footloose, came in 1984. Take it away, Peter.
A great hero named Kevin Bacon. He teaches an entire city full of people with sticks up their butts that dancing, well, it's the greatest thing there is.
Who put the sticks up their butts?
What?
For a dance movie, this has strong messages about religion in society and the dangers of being too strict with youths. The father character, played by John Lithgow, might be the most important, as he goes through a huge arc with influence from Ren, who wants to end the bans against dancing, from the town's politicians, whose views are even more extreme than his, from his daughter, who is clearly suffering, and from his wife, who stays silent until enough is enough. Obviously, Kevin Bacon's Ren is an outsider who wants to challenge the status quo. Chris Penn is great as Ren's comic relief bestie. Laurie Singer is perfect as the preacher's daughter. There's a scene where she actually throws herself at Ren.
Do you want to kiss me?
Someday.
Hey, what is this someday shit?
Well, I get the feeling you've been kissed a lot. You know, I'm afraid I'd suffer by comparison.
I'm no expert on relationships, but I'm pretty sure he just called her a whore. Where this movie truly dominates my ranking is its soundtrack. I'm talking 80s hit after 80s hit. And of course, the movie delivers on the dancing, but it's just so much more than that. My runner-up at number 2 is the West Side Story remake, came out in 2021. This multi-award winning box office bust is flat out special. When this was announced, I immediately predicted that this wasn't going to make a lot of money. People in 2021 aren't going to run out to theaters to watch a remake of a 1961 musical, pandemic or no pandemic. But if Steven Spielberg wants to remake West Side Story, the man gets what he wants. And here's the rub. Not only is it a beautiful movie, it's superior to the original, making Tony an ex-con trying to repair his life, and Bernardo a boxer add to the drama. Spielberg also changed the order and structure of certain scenes. Spielberg's magic is also in his shooting of the film. The look of 1957 New York in Manhattan's Upper West Side looks incredibly authentic. And having Rita Moreno play the store owner where Tony works changes that dynamic even further. Rachel Zegler and Ansel Elgort are solid as Marie and Tony, but the true standout is Ariana DeBose as the new Anita. She has the command and the passion to play that role. Making Chino a kind of nerdy character is a twist to be sure, but it fits this story. But we're talking about dancing today, and I'm here to tell you that the dance scenes are bigger and more epic, yet respectable to their 1961 counterparts. And my number one dance movie is Stomp the Yard, came out in 2007. You follow a young man named DJ who gets into some trouble after winning a dance battle in enemy territory. His arrogance inadvertently caused the death of his brother, played by Chris Brown. So he heads to Atlanta to attend Truth University. In the blink of an eye, he discovers Stomping the Yard, aka step dancing, which is a big deal at Truth. And while trying to get the attention of a girl he's interested in, he pisses off her boyfriend, who happens to be the captain of the 7-time step champions, Mu Gamma. Easily my favorite scene. DJ and his new friends go out on a night at the club, and dancers are repping their hometown by showing the hometown's signature move. Atlanta, St. Louis, Jamaica, Miami, and of course New York by the boyfriend I mentioned earlier, who tries to punk DJ in front of everyone. Side note, I don't think this guy's from New York. DJ then takes over the dance floor, taking down each dancer by mimicking their moves, and then absolutely destroys the boyfriend right in front of his girl, as well as everyone else. DJ continues to pursue her by hiring her as a tutor, and she inspires him to join a frat. He eventually chooses Theta Nu, Mu Gamma's big rivals. But the story is so much more than a love triangle and a step competition. It has many layers to peel off. A great story about redemption with great music, and of course step dancing, which is extremely unique to this ranking. Well guys, that about wraps it up. Look, dance movies are really fun, and I hope we continue to get more to add to all these classics, and there's also so many more that I didn't mention. From the BK, from the City That Never Sleeps.
See my face in lights,
Peace.
on my name on marquees found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't what it seems, I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York, concrete jungle where dreams are